Hi, I'm Jose Mataro with PWC Muscle, and in this video we're going to be installing a Fizzle Factory Supercooler into a 2018 SeaDoo RXT 230.
So the first step is just removing the top deck. It's just the bolts that hold it in place. And with the top deck removed, you can see how much room we have inside the engine bay. They did a really good job with these 2018 models to really open it up and give you a ton of space to work on them. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is removing the top exhaust hose. As you've seen from us before, to prevent getting fiberglass burn, this is some insulation foam from Home Depot. I think like a 12-foot roll of it's like $3 or something like that. And it fits real nice, just right on the edge there, and can tape it down, and just makes it a little bit nicer if you're resting your arms there to not get fiberglass burn. The first thing that's going to come off is going to be the exhaust tube that goes from the water box to the sound suppression system. There's just two hose clamps on it, one on this side, and then one, you can kind of see it right back there. It's a little too close to be able to show it filmed. There's a couple of zip ties that you want to snip off as well, but we'll show you in the next step what that looks like. With that pipe removed, you can see what we're working with now. Up here is going to be our stock sound suppression system, and this is our stock intercooler. Next, we're going to be removing the intercooler with that pipe out of the way. So the way that I found that was easiest is actually remove the hose clamp that goes to the throttle body to the intercooler, and the one that's on the supercharger to the intercooler. You can leave the hoses installed, then just take the hoses that flow the water, which is going to be this one here, this one down here, and this one here. Disconnect those and the straps and pull it all out together. It's a little bit tight, so I'm just going to show you the removal part. To prep our supercooler for installation, the supercooler comes with a bunch of hookups already. One thing additional that is needed is about 24 inches of 3/4 hose. This may or may not be included in future kits, but from AutoZone I think it was all of like $5 worth of hose here, and that's just because the inlet hose for the water is a little bit too short. But we'll show you now how to where these fittings are going to go. We're not going to use this fitting for this installation since it's the 230. But this is going to be our water inlet, which is on the back side of the supercooler. We're going to put, this is like the pisser one, the smaller connection that's going to go in here. Our anode's going to go here. We're going to go ahead and block off this outlet right here with the block off, and then this is going to be our main outlet, which the stock outlet hose will hook up to. It's easy to know which hose is which. We'll show you in the hull, but basically the one that's coming right off the pump and into the stock intercooler is going to be the inlet hose. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and take a little bit of Teflon tape, wrap these connections up, and then install them into our intercooler. Okay, so we have Teflon tape on all of our connectors, and just to be clear, the stuff that's included with this particular kit, this fitting, and these two fittings, at this time we're not installing them. On the 300, you install a new outlet. This would be a through-hole outlet to help increase the amount of flow, but on the 230 engine, we're trying it without that. In the future that may change, and in order to get more cooling, we might want to end up using it. But until we determine through testing that it's actually overheating enough for it to be required, we'll just go with the block off, this block off for now, instead of using the additional outlet and this through hole. So one thing to note with this elbow, this 90-degree fitting, is that we want to make sure that the this is actually going to be installed backwards like this, and we want the elbow facing the same direction as this anode is, which if you're looking at the ski when it's installed, it'd be pointing, as you're looking towards the stern, it's pointing towards the right, towards the tunnel. All right, another quick tip, because I've scratched up these intercoolers before, is to take a little bit of masking tape when you're installing these fittings and just put it around the opening so that if your wrench does make contact with the powder coat, it prevents any deep gouges or scratches. Okay, we have all of our fittings on, and we're ready to reinstall this back into the hull. As I mentioned before, this is going to be that smaller fitting that was on the stock intercooler. Back here is where we're going to put our longer piece of 3/4 inch hose, and that's going to replace the stock inlet, and then we have the new outlet that is over here. Before we're doing this install at the same time as the P3 SSD, the Fizzle intercooler does come with these caps. So I'm going to put one of these, they happen to be the perfect size, onto the, there we go, right onto the SSD. And that'll just keep it from scraping up the intercooler when we put it in. As I mentioned, this hose is going to be the little pisser hose that's going to be on the side. Make sure this is out of the way. And then the two straps. The stock straps that come on the ski are just a little bit short, so I'll have the replacement part number in the description that we're using. They're just about 2 inches longer and allow you to put the larger intercooler in its place. Alright, so now we're just going to put the supercooler back into the ski. One thing to know is I did already hook up the excess hose. It's just a lot easier to do it outside the hull than trying to work your way in there to somehow tighten it otherwise. So we're just going to put it in the stock spot, and it fits really well. Okay, now I don't recommend doing the straps until very last, mostly because we're still going to have to manipulate this thing a bit in order to get the pipes on from the supercharger onto it, as well as the throttle body one in there. You can already see that this is the outlet, and it's right on our nipple, and then this is the new hose that we just installed. So this is going to be replacing, see if you can see right here, this is coming out of the hull right here, and it's going to be replacing this pipe right here. So we're just going to remove that. Because it is a friction point, I do like this protective barrier. I'm going to put that back onto our new pipe, and then it's going to hook right into that T right there. The first hose that we're going to hook up is the one that goes from the throttle body over to the intercooler. Alright, now we've got the hose in place from the throttle body over to the intercooler, and we can, you see we still have a lot of space. I'm not going to put on this hose just yet. Now we're going to battle these straps. So now we have our hose that goes from the supercharger to the intercooler back in, and since our straps are in place, we can go ahead and tighten up all of our hose clamps, and then we'll just be installing the pipe that goes from the water box to the exhaust, and double checking all of our fittings. Everything back in place, just zip tie any of the loose connectors, and then follow the instructions on how to put the top deck back on. Go ahead and do some water testing on the hose to make sure you don't have any leaks, and that is it for the entire installation.
That completes the installation. Thank you very much for watching. You can find all of our parts on pwcmuscle.com and join us on pwcextreme.com where others share their builds. Until next time, ride fast, and we'll see you on the water.